Welcome to That Pedal Show. Mick here. No Dan today. He's just moved house, so he's kind of engulfed in all of that. So I thought I would take the opportunity to fill in and have a look at an exciting new guitar acquisition. Ooh. Now, this is a long video with a lot of talking, so if you just want to hear the guitar and skip all of that, go to these time references. For the rest of you, you're going to be treated to a smorgasbord of interesting things, including the backstory of me and Teles. It's simply not the internet if you don't do an unboxing. There'll be a comparison with Red, Dan's 63 custom shop Tele, and of course all my thoughts on the spec and features. I also get into some setup stuff, do a couple of mods, before plugging it into my full rig and just seeing where we are. But before all that, this. Let's say it up front, I love this guitar. Let's rewind. Okay, NGD, new guitar day, I'm very excited. It's Wednesday, 20-something of June. I have a delivery coming today. My new Fender Jason Isbell signature Fender Telecaster. Rosie and I are both very excited, so I'm going to maybe vlog the day. What do you think, Rose? Rosie, do you want a biscuit? Here you go, have a biscuit. Okay, is that good? Next stop, work. Oh my God, look at the time. Oh my God, there he is, the nice man. There he is, the nice man. Come here, Rose, come see what we've got, come on. What do we think? Is that a no or a yes? This is like one of those unboxing videos you see on the internet. Sharp device. Feels like a gig bag, not a case. I didn't check any of these things, obviously. The last thing I need is any more guitar cases. Ooh. Ooh. Playthings for dog. Oh no, it's a Russian doll guitar. It's going to be a flipping Tele ukulele, isn't it? One of the things I'm interested to know is if Fender have updated their old canvas gig bag, because, well, I hope they have. No. Yeah, probably strong, but so painful on the shoulders. Right, to the main event. Nice weight. Oh no, I thought it was a Les Paul. That's cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. Be amazing if it comes out of the case in tune. Near enough? Wicked. Wicked. Good weight. It's not feather light, but nor is it. It's way lighter than my Texas Highway 1 Texas Tele. Nice. Unboxed. Okay, so why this guitar? Surely the Telecaster is Dan's guitar as far as TPS is concerned. Well, yeah, in that context, the Tele is very definitely Dan's guitar. And I don't suppose you'll see me playing too much Tele in the show. However, I have always loved Telecasters. I suppose it must have started with probably Status Quo, who were my favourite band when I was a kid. You know, I still, to this day, I credit a lot of my time and feel to Quo, you know, hammering along to all their records as a young kid, you know, between, I don't know, 8 years old and forward from that. Rolling forward still, my first ever telly was actually a 62 custom Telecaster reissue from Japan. It was a, 3-colour sunburst with a white pickguard. My only actual recollection of that guitar is from a photograph, which I can't actually find, which is really annoying. I'm going to keep searching, but we were in a little cafe bar restaurant thing in a town called Bridport in Dorset. Dorset's where I'm from, kind of, or at least where I grew up. And we used to play there, and I guess I must have been about 16 years old. And there's a picture, it's a black and white photo of me with the Sunburst Tele. You can tell it's a Sunburst, double bound. Standing in front of a Fender Twin, a silver-faced Twin, in our old band, Above and Beyond. And boy, did we play loud in those days. And that little place there was such unbelievable happy memories. We used to play all over the Southwest, and it was like literally shoulder to shoulder, fight your way to the bar. And in that pick, I was probably 3 sheets to the wind, hammering out some blues or rock at, unbelievable decibel levels. And it was just, they were truly halcyon days. I didn't have a responsibility in the world. I didn't have a bill to pay. Nothing to worry about except maybe an exam here or there. But more importantly, playing loud rock and roll. And, always had a pocket full of gig money. Anyway, I think I got the telly after seeing Jerry Donahue on a Channel 4 Equinox program called Twang Bang Kerrang. And in that was Jerry Donahue, Seymour Duncan, Andy Summers, Francis Dunnery, whole bunch of amazing guitar players. But it's the one where Jerry plays the Beak the Claw, just the most amazing version of it on this double bound. Actually, I don't think it was a Fender, but in any case, he later went on to have a signature telly. Anyway, I think it was probably that made me go, I need a Telecaster. But I guess I didn't really understand the telly at the time. Again, I say I don't really remember much about it. What I do remember is that it was much louder, much brasher, and much chimier than my Strat, especially through the Twin, silver-faced Twin. I think my pedal board amounted to 2 Boss overdrives, a tuner, and a wah-wah at the time, such that it was. And because my whole musical lens was the Strat, everything lived and breathed through the Strat, I just didn't really understand the telly, so off it went. Over the years, I've had a few tellies. They've come and gone. The one I've got at the moment, I don't really love, truth be told. It's a bit over heavy for me. I just don't love the guitar. And I've always had sort of half an eye out again for a custom Telecaster, that double bound thing. And then I start seeing them popping up. So Anderton started posting, I think they had some custom shop special run things like Orange Sparkle, amazing. Rabea ended up buying one. I think it was a double Esquire. In any case, it's an amazing guitar. And like I say, you see these things on Instagram. I wasn't going to drop many thousands on a custom shop version. And then it happens. So I pop onto Fender's website probably about 50 times a day, like every normal human. And on one of those occasions, I see this telly there, double bound, Relic Nitro body by the looks of things. Thinking, hey, that's cool. Press the button, check out some of the specs. Yep, it is Relic Nitro. Happy days. The old Japanese one was, that sort of indestructible poly, whatever. Never going to look great, in my personal opinion. And all the features, I'm thinking, hey, that looks pretty cool. Bet it's got a 9.5-inch board. No, 7.25. Happy days. Check. Okay, what's the catch here then? Probably 4,000 quid. Nope. Very affordable. Ensenada built. And to top it all off, obviously, it's Jason Isbell signature. Now, timing couldn't have been better. I'd spent the last 18 months playing Southeastern, probably back to back, just totally fallen in love with that record. And I have unending respect for Jason's music, his guitar playing, his singing, his songwriting. Just think he's a consummate artist. Next thing I know, Danish Pete's on Instagram showing the demo one that they had at Anderton's. So I fire off a text to Lee and Pete saying, can I buy the actual guitar? And they come back saying, no, you can't. It's Fender's demo one. But Fender will send it to you if you want to, put it on the show and demo it. I'm like, yeah, that would be cool. Or we've got a bunch coming in. So I was like, fine, stick me down for one. I'll buy one of these guitars blind and see what happens next. And here it is. Good morning. It's the next day. I didn't get to plug it in yesterday, which has got to be one of the most disappointing things that could ever happen when you get a new guitar. Too much work to do, some other stuff. Initial impressions of this guitar are really positive. It's about £7.5, just over, which is, on the cusp for me in terms of weight of a Tele. As I mentioned yesterday, I will do close-up shots because you won't be able to see in very good detail here. The aging on the neck is really nice. I'm not at all a fan of the way on the custom shop they go from about here to here and just completely take all the finish off and it just looks like this muddy, oily mess. I'm not a fan of that at all. This is much more kind of sympathetically done, and there is just a little bit of gloss left on there. I think if you take it all off, it does affect the sound of the guitar. Skunk stripe, rosewood fingerboard. I don't know. For those of you who don't know, on a maple necked guitar, that's where they put the truss rod in, right? They take that out, fill it with a walnut skunk stripe, and that's how they put the truss rod in. It wasn't required on a rosewood fingerboard because the truss rod went in from the top and the fingerboard went on the top. So they did change it over the years, and there are many Fenders with rosewood boards and the skunk stripe, but not vintage ones. So that's a little point of detail. This bridge with the cutaway things here, again, I'll do details. It makes so much sense for comfort, but again, my eyes just can't see it. It needs to be the full ashtray bridge, so I will replace that in time. The saddles are the straight brass ones, so I'll replace those with some compensated ones for better intonation. If indeed it doesn't intonate, which we'll see, because it may well play great in tune, and that's no big deal. What else? The truss rod adjustment is at that end. Again, not correct for a vintage type Tele, but let us not forget, this is not a custom shop Telecaster. It's not. Fender make no claims to it being a vintage specific guitar. So produced there in Ensenada in Mexico, there are things that are done to save money, right? To bring it in at a very sensible price. So I'm not moaning, these are just observations. The relicking is really interesting. From afar, it looks flipping great, and I would much rather have it than not have it because I think it just makes the guitar feel and look a bit played in. I might polish it because it just does feel a bit flat, and it's been done in a hurry. Remember, these guitars are built on a production line, and they need to be consistent and to a sort of standardization of finish and quality. So the idea of somebody sat there chucking a bunch of keys at it, which incidentally is a great way to relic your guitar, and spending hours and hours and hours on each individual guitar, that is going to add exponentially to the cost of it. And that does explain why some of those custom shop relics cost so much money, because the person hours involved in that are massive, right? So, for example, one thing I'll draw your attention to, this forearm bit of wear there is clearly not worn, it's clearly sanded. On an old guitar, it would crack a bit more, it would be a rougher edge, and here it's sanded. So I'm at pains to say I'm not moaning, because for the price, it's astonishing. Again, I'll probably do some extra little work there to just make that feel a little bit more worn in, and I will chuck some keys at it, and I will ding it up a bit more so that it feels right. But so those are my moans. Actually, I have two remaining moans. One is the frets really do need a polish. Perfectly playable, and actually if you played it for a few hours, the tops of those frets would go smooth, but I'm going to polish them, and I'm going to add some lubrication to that fingerboard, some oil, just to make it a little bit less dry looking. So yeah, it sounds like I'm moaning. I'm not. These are the realities of a guitar that comes in at this price. All that said, it most definitely has some vibe and some mojo, and I really, really, really like it. So let's go plug it in. Okay, for real then, first time I plugged it in, Jesus, could that guy shut up and just play the guitar? Fender Deluxe Reverb. Victory VC35, bit more gain. I can live with that. Hang on. Before I stop, there is another rosewood board telly that I get to hear week in, week out on that pedal show that has shaped my view of what tellies sound like, and that's Dan's Red. So I'm just going to do a quick, super simple comparison of them, just in terms of their basic, EQ profile and how loud the guitars are compared to one another. Having not done this yet, I think that one's a bit cleaner and a bit snappier and a bit twangier. We'll see. Certainly seems to have a different mid character, does the Isbell. So let's have a look. My acoustic in the background. That is so interesting. So the Isbell Tele is definitely lighter in the mid-range, doesn't push so hard. To me, has a kind of a more, I'm not going to say, well, I am going to say a more mid-scoopy thing. Sounds more like what I consider to be the classic kind of country Tele sound maybe, whereas this one has a bit more rock mid-push. Could talk about that all day. This has got Dan's 11s on it. That's got whatever it came out the factory with, probably 10s. I've got some setup issues that I'm already feeling. I am struggling with the intonation, so I'm going to sort that out. I'm going to sort the nut out, going to polish the frets, going to do the fingerboard, going to swap those saddles out for something that I think I can intonate better, and I'm going to go up to a heavier gauge of string. Let's see where we are then. Hello, me again. that was fun. I was really pleased with that as it goes. Just cranked it up and had a listen. I thought it stood up really well to red, which I wasn't expecting at all. And a really nice tonality. I think I'm going to really get into this. Before I do the next thing, I'm at pains to say that this guitar is perfectly playable straight out of the box. So everything I'm about to do is largely about personal preference and about what I've learned to like about guitars over the years. So don't worry if you're thinking about buying a new guitar or new Fender or whatever. Don't worry that you need to do all of this stuff. This is personal preference. Secondly, I don't know if it went through a shop setup. If you buy a guitar from a decent retailer, they'll set it up for you. I actually bought this directly straight from Anderson, so it came in and it went out again. So I didn't want it set up or anything. I just wanted to get it as soon as I could. And Lee very kindly offered me a nice discount on it. So yeah, don't be worried about that. Anyway, as I said, as we finished off the last bit, there's a few things I want to do, and I've got the stuff here that I need to do it. So the biggest problem is we all intonate differently, and intonation is very much, there is correct intonation. Don't be in any doubt about that. Within that, however, we all play differently, and we can all play with different intonation settings. So a guitar that's perfectly set up for one person might be difficult for the next person to play. However, we do know that these vintage straight brass saddles with 2 strings per saddle are a sod to intonate, and I personally find a problem with it. What I was noticing in there was I couldn't get the low E in tune. I'm guessing that the saddle's not far enough back. Same with the G string. When you play your G chord, it's in tune, and when you play your E major, it's not. That happens on well intonated guitars as well, but it's exacerbated here. So number one, I knew I had 3 old saddles in a drawer somewhere. I couldn't remember if they were intonation compensated ones or not. It's somewhat astounding that I can barely remember what day of the week it is, but I do remember that I've got these 3 saddles, and they've been in the drawer where I found them probably for 15 years. Scary. Anyway, they're not intonation compensated, so they're no good. I went on Das Internets and I ordered from Charles Guitars, which I've never ordered from before, so we'll see what they're like. A set of Callahan vintage enhanced brass ones, so we'll see what they're like. I also ordered a new bridge plate, which I will age myself, so that won't get done today. However, what we can do today, let's see, what's the first job? Probably the fret polishing. This is a pain. I used to have one. You can get a little steel guard that fits over the fret and means you don't have to mask the fingerboard off, because what we're going to do is get pretty busy on each of the frets with a bit of abrasive compound to just polish them up a little bit, and that can eke into the fingerboard a bit. So the best practice is to just mask the fingerboard off. As for what compounds and stuff to use, you can buy specific fret polishing compounds. I don't have any of that stuff to hand, so I'm going to start off with this Duesenberg Scratch X finish stuff that they sent me years ago. It's all in German, so I don't know if that's going to be any good. If that doesn't work, I'm going to resort to good old T-cut, which is what you use for polishing scratches out of cars. Probably the internet will be proclaiming me a heathen for using such things, but I've used it in the past and it works, so don't worry about that. I'm also going to pay a little bit of attention to the nut. I think it's slightly high for my liking, and that's another reason I was struggling with that low E string. I've got my Stuart McDonald nut slot files. Now, this is an art in itself. I'm by no means a guitar repairer, but again, I'm happy to do my own guitars. Just so that their slots are a bit smoother. They are the correct width for the strings I want to use, which are a little bit heavier than these, and just so that we get rid of some of that friction over the nut. Pencil graphite can help greatly with that, or indeed some sort of lubricant like nut sauce or whatever else there is out there. Right, nut slots. Oh yeah, and finally the fingerboard, will apply some conditioner to that. Had a quick look around in drawers at whatever I could find. I found a nondescript bottle up on the shelf up there, which looks very much like lemon oil. I think it's Dan's, so I could use that. However, Also from Duesenberg ages ago when they sent us some stuff, I found some fingerboard lotion, so we'll use that. Ah, there's Catherine going home to pick up the dog. Good. Let's go. Okay, so with apologies, I've only got one camera, so that's what we're looking at. I can't get super close on it either, so you'll just have to take it for what it is. But we'll do this quickly, right? So firstly, off come the strings. Goodbye strings, we gotta go, me on my own. One thing I am noticing is how very nicely rolled the fingerboard edges are. What that means is this little bit here has a divot in it. Or not a divot, but the sort of simulation of if you'd been playing it for years. Some people really don't like it, but I really do. So nicely rolled fingerboard edges. Thank you, Fender. Right, now comes the laborious part. I could only find fat flipping masking tape. So what it means is I'll just do one and I'll show you. So you need a straight edge. Well, that's kind of straight enough. So you need a straight edge. Not really straight enough. And what you do is, where are we in focus? About here. You go up to the edge of the fret like that. This is what you would do if you were doing a fret dress as well. I'm afraid I'm not talented enough to do things like that. But this is what you would do if you were doing that particular job. And you mask off the whole fretboard just to be safe for the frets, right? There's a lot of people that won't bother. Let's get that said. But and I probably wouldn't normally bother, if I'm honest. And if I bought the right width masking tape, or at least I had some to hand, this job would be so much quicker and easier. And again, the internet's probably sending me to hell at this very moment. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me, for me, for me, the way I'm doing this fingerboard. We'll try this Scratch X stuff. You never know, it might work. When you use an abrasive compound or liquid, that does the work. So you don't necessarily have to go blooming hammer and tongs at it. You can just do that. And we'll see if that's polished them up nice or not, or if indeed the T-cut is going to do a better job. I mean, hopefully, I don't know, hopefully you can see from up there just how much shinier they look. I mean, they just look incredibly more shiny already. So quite pleased with that. So I think that's going to be fine for a polish. Okay, as you can see, we're strung up. I've polished the frets, not a bang-up job, but, you know, a quick job. Oiled the fingerboard a little bit and put the new strings on. What I'm going to do now is just have a look at the nut slots. Again, the camera is just, it is what it is, I'm afraid. So what I can tell is that that nut slot's not quite big enough. Look, I've got my Leo Fender approved glasses on. Can you see those? I don't know if you can, if I get down there. That slot wants to be enlarged a little bit, but not too much. Now, I've got my StewMac nut files here. I would absolutely recommend getting a professional to do this. I'm not very good at it, but in the interests of getting this done as fast as I can and being able to play the guitar, we'll have a go. The only thing I have ever learned about nut slots is you do very even movements and you go at a kind of angle slightly down, right? So not straight like that, because if you go too straight, you can then create an up curve on the nut slot bed, which means it's not seated properly. So, you know, dead flat, slightly down, because bear in mind the trajectory of the string is to come up and then go down to the thing. So we're just, you know, carefully take a little bit of material away there, not too much, as you know, and somebody with experience would do this in seconds. That is not me. I would strongly urge you to look this up online, but you would then put a feeler gauge, you'd fret it here and put a feeler gauge under the first fret to see how low it should go, basically. And then to finish this properly, you may well use some very fine wet and dry paper just to make it super smooth and nice in there. I've probably got a bit here, look. So you just fold that up, rub that through there very carefully, because what you want is the slickest possible passage over the nut. What you don't want are any burrs. We'll also add some pencil graphite lubrication in there just to make it really nice. I've just done a really super quick job on that. No doubt an experienced tech would do a much better job, but it was just to make them smooth, really. Now, just finally finish off with a bit of pencil graphite in the slots. And this should make that transition of those strings through the nut there just so much more smooth than it was before. Obviously it doesn't look great, but I don't mind that. It's more or less the pitch. So have a quick look down the truss rod. Yeah, if I've got the Allen key to hand, which I almost certainly won't have, get in. So I've just lessened the relief in the neck there a bit so that it sits a little bit flatter. I'm not too worried about it. So what we should have now is a guitar that's relatively in tune. I'm gonna have to stand up. Just do the usual sort of quick play, get the string stretched in. Okay, the last thing we're going to have to sort out then is this intonation, because I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'm going to put it there and hope that you can. Basically, if I fret this harmonic G at the 12th fret, the note is sharp, the harmonic is flat, flat fret forward. If the note is flat, the saddle wants to come forward. If the note is sharp, the note wants to go back. If it goes back, I've then got a problem with the D string, right? So the D string actually, the D string is a bit sharp as well, so that one can go back in its entirety. But what I can tell you is that the G string won't be able to go back far enough once the D string is right, hence the need for compensated saddles, and particularly the B and the low E. So that's the next job. Well, I have done a reasonable job on that G string nut slot, because there's no way that would have happened before. But in general, fret's much nicer, fingerboard much nicer, nut on the way to being sorted, and we just need to get those new saddles on there to make these strings playing tune. I've been fighting second gear, 15 miles or so, trying to beat the end of snow. Insert 3 days later caption and music here.
3 days later!
I've bought these Callahan saddles. When I initially got them, I thought, oh my goodness me, they're not brass, but they are brass. They're just tarnished. They look pretty good. I'll do a close-up of those so you can see them, or at least you'll see the close-up when I'm putting them on the guitars. Compensated saddles, and on the bottom they very helpfully say which strings is which. Now let it be said that many awesome Tele players down the years have worked with these three brass barrel saddles just fine. Found a compromise of intonation that's worked great for them, and indeed created some of the best music ever made. So far be it from me to say you can't play a Tele in tune. However, I'm struggling a bit, which is why I've got these Callahan saddles. So I'm going to replace them, and I'm also going to replace the bridge as I mentioned, because aesthetically I just prefer the old style one. In an act of utter futility, I buried it in the garden for 3 days. I have bashed it up a little bit with a punch, but it's not going to tarnish anytime soon unless I get some hydrochloric acid on it, which, I don't know, maybe that's a job for the future. I just want to get it done and play the flipping guitar. Here we go then, should be simple enough. This is coming off, that's going on, and these saddles are going on. This will probably be interest to only those of you who've never seen under a Tele bridge before. So, strings off. Ready? Yeah, so for those of you who've never seen this before, well, as you can see, the pickup mounts directly to the bridge plate like that. Maybe we'll take the opportunity for a bit of extra relicking. They've said that the pickup is, Jason has said that the pickup is wound relatively hot with plenty of high end. They deliberately left a lot of high end in the guitar with the specific intention of using the tone control to take some off. Always better to have more than you need as far as Mr. Isbell is concerned, and I am inclined to agree. It was actually adjusted pretty high, the pickup. Dan has his almost on the blooming strings, which I think is another reason that Red is such a strident sounding guitar. Anyway, we'll adjust that up when we've got some strings on there. You may think this is an utterly pointless exercise, taking off a part that is designed to improve functionality and playability and replace it with a bit that is less good at that, but you know, it's all right. Nobody panic. As a point of interest, it's usually at this juncture on a guitar that's, you know, perfectly new and well finished, that I'll accidentally drop a screwdriver on the guitar and cause all kinds of new sort of dings and dents. And yeah. So what is interesting, having gone through the utterly futile job of trying to tarnish this, which of course is ridiculous. If you want it to rust, you'd have to leave it in there for months. None of the other hardware's tarnished, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe that's a job for another day if I can be bothered. Oh no! Oh no! I know that one reason that, so if you look at the G.E. Smith Telecaster, for example, what they do is it's cut off. This section of the bridge is cut off, or the bridge plate at least, leaving this to do the anchoring, but the pickup is no longer mounted in the piece of metal. Tom Anderson does that because they can vibrate, and that vibration is a source of squealing feedback for a Tele, And it's a great example of one of those things that on the one hand is very much part of the Telecaster sound, and on the other hand is a right pain in the behind. So as you wish with all of that. Don't want to like kind of crazy tighten these, but they need to be tight enough, obviously. I think that is he, as my father would say. As I mentioned earlier, these saddles have very helpfully got the string names underneath. This one says E and A on it, just in case you can't read that. And even I know that E and A is the first one. Ooh, you're kidding me. Okay, really? I don't actually believe that. Well, that's interesting. The screw will happily pass through this one. It will not go through that one, and it won't go through that one. That is absolutely unbelievable, and it's only off by, you know, a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. So whether that's okay, that one will screw through. This one I'm going to have to employ some manual labour on. Awesome. Also the opportunity for a bit of extra relicking there as well. Also on the bridge. Cool. So there you go. We're all on there. So pick up a tiny bit. Action first, then intonation, but obviously we need to rough it out to get it more or less where it needs to be. Action's a very personal choice. I'm not sure how helpful I find it to quote specific measurements, because it really does depend on the relationship of the relief in the neck and all of that. I don't have a low action and I don't have a high action by kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan standards. And I'll be honest and say I don't actually know how high I like my action. I usually do it to just sort of looks right and feels right, which might sound like hopelessly, you know, might sound hopelessly inaccurate, but there we are. Okay, more or less in tune. I'll tell you what's mildly amusing is that having just roughed it out, I just put the saddles by eye and roughed out the tuning. What's hilarious about that is that it feels way more in tune now than it did with the old saddles 25 minutes ago. So I will just check the intonation and see where we are. So I hope you can see that, right? Flat, fret, forward. The note's a bit sharp, so if the note was flat, the saddle would have to go forward. The note is sharp, so the saddle has to go back. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit sharp still, but I'm going to leave it because it's close enough. So the all-important question, will the A string now be intonated? You can see how it works. I'm going to continue this process until it's where I need it to be. Great, really happy with that. Hopefully you can see the tuner face there. That's near enough for me. And I can already hear that the guitar just is more in tune. Happy days. Yep, I said at the top it was a long video. A couple of weeks, few mods, the setup stuff and all the rest of it, and some quality bonding time. It takes, a little while, and that is by no means over yet. I'm really looking forward to getting into this guitar over coming months to really learn what it does. Moreover, what it does to me, where does it put my head, what does it encourage me to do? That's the thing I love about different guitars, is they kind of put you into a different headspace rather than you imposing what you want the guitar to do. I think it's worthwhile to just let it take you to the place it wants to go sometimes. Now, despite a couple of earlier quibbles and things that I've changed, I don't feel the need to do anything more at this point. Certainly don't need to change the pickups. I think they sound fantastic. I might put a white pickguard on it at some point down the road, but that's just an aesthetic thing. Other than that, I think it's cracking. Do the new saddles and bridge make much of a difference? It is hard to say. I don't think the bridge is going to make much of a difference because it's almost identical to the old one. The saddles probably do sound a little bit different, but I didn't have the old ones on there long enough to really understand that. So I'm certainly extremely happy with how they sound. Other than that, I'm just really pleased. I finally found a Tele that ticks most of my boxes, the majority of the boxes actually, without taking the majority of this year's income, which is always a struggle. What I need to do now is make some music on it. I got the guitar to make music, to play more songs, to put me in a different headspace than I'm in on that Strat. So let's see if that works. Thank you very much for watching. Please visit that Pedal Show store. We'll see you next time.